program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. What was the real reason behind the partial DHS shutdown? I am just now figuring this out. It had nothing to do with ICE and everything to do with election security and making sure Democrats could steal the election. Now, stick with me on this. They didn't care about ICE. They didn't care about Border Patrol. Quietly, what they were doing was these very small agencies inside Department of Homeland Security were being wiped out because people couldn't afford to continue working there. The number one agency they were targeting, the number one agencies Democrats were looking to gut and simply gut by having people walk off the job was CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Agency. This agency is responsible for election security, election integrity, making sure our systems aren't hacked, making sure there's not foreign interference. They lost 1/3 of their workforce. No wonder they were proud about it all. Now it all makes sense. This was the ultimate goal. Make sure they were able to hack into our election systems and know that the one agency that was supposed to be standing on the front lines would be decimated. They went after CISA and they won. 1/3 of the agency, poof, gone. We're going to talk about that today on the program. I'm Grant Stinchfield. Before we get into that, I want to tell you about my friends over at VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com. Now is the time to crush the market. They are doing so great for me. I'm telling you, with some of these buy signals that they're getting, I'm making lots of money, doing better at trading the market than I ever was before. And make no mistake, this is not a day trading system. This is a daily newsletter that comes in the morning with some recommendations. They had their core 10 baggers, which are stocks they think will show the potential of 1,000% gains or more. But they'll give little buy signals, and you might hold them for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 2 years. But in the end, you're crushing the market. Average returns from the VRA Insider system, 37%. Amazing. VRAinsider.com. You get a 2-week trial for totally free. Access to everything, the picks, the daily updates, the back end. You can see every trade they made, where they made money, and where they cut their losses. VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com. All right, with that, folks, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, folks, welcome back. So, CISA. This is the agency responsible for making sure that our election systems are safe and many other things. It's the Cybersecurity Infrastructure let me get the exact name. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA. Let's just call it CISA from here on out. So CISA is all about keeping our election system safe, our systems that deal with everything with the government, banking, you name it. It is the government agency that is in charge of ensuring that cyber attacks aren't happening, and if they are, they're thwarted. What did the Democrats do? With the DHS shutdown, they put your eye on ICE and Customs and Border Protection. What they didn't do was quietly tell you that some of these other agencies inside DHS were going to be losing large amounts of employees because they couldn't afford to pay their bills, so they up and left. CISA was one of those agencies, 1/3 of the workforce gone. They knew they were decimating these quiet agencies that were responsible for keeping our election systems safe and secure. They knew it. They put all of our eyes someplace else while quietly the election integrity of America was being crippled, destroyed. How do you think we're going to hire back 1/3 of the workforce between now and elections? I think it's very hard and tall task. Now, how did I come up with this? It wasn't really me. This was a man by the name of Stephen Gardner. He's a great YouTuber. He's also a friend of mine. I was on his podcast, and he floated this to me. And I said, you nailed it, man. This is exactly what is going on. This is exactly why the Democrats conducted and forced this partial shutdown. And it's also why they had to carry it out for nearly 3 months. They had to carry it out for 3 months because they knew the people couldn't survive that long without getting a paycheck. And sure enough, they were right. A third of the workforce walks, completely making our election system 100% vulnerable. So I interviewed Stephen Gardner after his podcast, and I urge you to check out his podcast on YouTube. Well, I interviewed him on the Real America's Voice show, and I'm going to play some of that for you because I'll let him spell out his theory rather than just me.
When I saw the new Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen say that CISA had lost 1/3 of their workforce, 1,100 people, and that it takes months and months to retrain people and bring them back on, I started realizing, wait a minute, CISA is over the elections. The Democrats are mad at ICE for removing their future voters. What if the entire point of this was to shut down the government in this area and to have all of these people in CISA leave? CISA is over all of the hundreds or thousands of cyber attacks on America every day, but they're over something that President Trump calls critical infrastructure, which is the American election system. I mean, all of us right now, over 60% of Americans believe that there was something wrong in the 2020 election. Joe Biden won one of the 19 bellwether states. He lost Ohio. He also lost Florida. Now you're telling me that the very agency that protects our elections, that does the cyber hygiene scans for bugs, threat intelligence, and vulnerability, is suddenly down 33% of its workforce, and we're only months away from the 2020 midterms, which the Democrats are saying, don't worry, we're guaranteed to win those. I don't know. I've got bells going off. At the same time, Grant, you've got this agency is being run by a acting director. Why? Because the U.S. Senate refuses to put Sean Planky in, which is President Trump's CISA secretary. So all of this just stinks. We know for a fact that they used COVID as cover to mail in millions and millions of ballots. They counted them in the middle of the night. This is what happened. Now you have CISA down 33% of their workforce.
You know, it's amazing when you lay it out for us because we know for a fact that these election systems are vulnerable. I can't tell you that the election machines flipped votes or not. I can't tell you that. But what I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt are there are vulnerabilities there. And if we're not looking out over the vulnerabilities, the danger is there. And I think the Democrats know that, and I think they would love to exploit the vulnerabilities if they haven't already, Stephen.
Yeah, we know for a fact that Iran and China both meddled in our election systems. It came out just in the last 60 days that China was able to infiltrate the voter rolls of 18 different states. At that same time, they start quietly shipping in tens of thousands of fake driver's licenses so that those driver's licenses could vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So I think we have to be really careful. I don't know whether they were flipping votes or satellites in Italy, none of that stuff. But I can tell you something was wrong with the election. And the very agency that has been tasked just took a major financial hit months before the most consequential election in our history.
Does that not sum it up for you? Sums it up for me. Makes perfect sense. See, there's no mistakes in Washington. There's no added benefits in Washington. There's only calculated moves in Washington. When CISA loses a third of its workforce, the Democrats fully had calculated that. I missed it early on. I should have been calling this out from the very start of this shutdown, and I missed it. They got me on this. You know how I say I'm right 95% of the time? The Democrats won this battle on me. They got me. They made an end run around me, and I didn't see it, and I should have. But I don't think anybody else inside government saw it either because nobody else was saying this. The only time we realized it, Stephen Gardner realized it, was when he heard Markwayne Mullin say, we lost a third of our workforce in CISA. Now, there was a comment in there I made, and a lot of people after the Real America Voice show were emailing me when I said, I can't tell you the machines flipped votes. Boy, this gets a lot of people angry. Folks, I want to remind you, I sat in on 32 hours of depositions for Newsmax over the Dominion and Smartmatic voting lawsuits. I was on the front lines of trying to uncover the electronic voting machine abnormalities and vulnerabilities. Here's what I have deduced from all of my work and reviewing everybody else's work. I'm not a passive observer in this. There is no hard proof that the machines flipped votes. There is statistical proof. There are abnormality proof. But there's no hard proof. And I will press anybody who tells me there is until they give it to me. And if you have it out there, I would gladly have it. I would gladly push it, because when I'm hearing Mike Lindell said absolute proof, and then I watch the documentary and say, well, it's not absolute proof. It's statistical abnormalities and things that don't make any sense or can't explain. But that's not absolute proof. Here's what I do have absolute proof of. The mail-in ballot scheme. The thousands of driver's licenses that were shipped into the United States, how many got through so we had voter fraud? How many ballots were run through the machines multiple times? I have video of them running through the ballots multiple times, and nobody has ever explained it. Where the 2020 election was stolen was the mail-in ballot scheme and human cheating inside those vote count rooms, shutting down the counting. Now, the machines very well may have played a role. I just have not seen the absolute proof. I know it pisses everybody off, and they'll come at me with stuff. And then when you dig into it, and I'll tell them, that's not absolute proof. That's a statistical abnormality, okay? That's a wild, unexplainable abnormality. But you're not showing me the logs where it happened. Now, here's what I also know. I know that some of the machines were hooked up to the internet. I know that. I know that some of the machines were tampered with. I know that. We can prove it. We know that there are machines that had their tamper-proof seals that were broken. The chain of custody on these machines were broken. I know that. All I'm telling you from an investigative reporter standpoint, from someone who would have loved to have caught them red-handed, I don't have the vote flip proof. I have the suspicion, but I don't have the proof. And as much as it pains me to say that, and as much as all of you out there want that proof to be there and want to believe everybody who's telling you it is there, they've yet to show it to me. And if you have it, show it to me. And I'll gladly run with it. But that challenge right there, no one has yet to come forward with it. So I see we got a lot of regulars in here. JM77, Clyde 24, Be Happy. Shelly, of course, our captain. I don't want to leave anybody out. Hottie 3G. All of you, this is the core of Stinchfield's Army. We're so grateful that you are here and watching as I look at the list on the Rumble chat. So look, folks, this is an important story because we have to understand how far the Democrats will go to steal an election. And I think right now with President Trump in the Oval Office, they know how important this midterms is. But, you know, I'll offer this to Democrats. Is it really that important? Because, quite frankly, Republicans don't seem to be doing much. They haven't pushed through legislation that I want to see put through. Where is the SAVE Act? Still not through. We haven't done away with the filibuster, thanks to weak John Thune, who, like President Trump says, may be a very nice guy, but I'm disappointed in him. So I'm tired of the weak Republicans. So, you know, Democrats, relax about the midterms. Not a lot's coming out of this Congress that I would want to come out, and I don't have very high hopes that it will the next Congress. I thought we learned our lesson from President Trump's first term, the first 2 years when we controlled it all. We did nothing. I thought that finally we're back in a situation where we control it all again, and guess what? Still, we do nothing. It's brutal, man. It really, really, really is brutal. Hey, you know my friends over at Patriot Mobile, patriotmobile.com/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT, 972-PATRIOT. You know what I'm going to do just for this week because it was so fun? Let's play this.
All right, so this is why I love Patriot Mobile. And I tell you, this is why you need to be with Patriot Mobile. Why are you supporting these left-wing cell phone companies that are literally funding the left when Patriot Mobile is out here funding NASCAR, America's sport? So here's what I want you to do. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Or call 972-PATRIOT. Tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. Use that promo code GRANT for a free month's service. But this is why I love the Patriot Mobile as a sponsor of Stinchfield. Because of stuff like this. Get with a company that does stuff like this. Please, this is what it's all about. 100% US-based customer service. Performance guarantee like none other. And a company that supports America. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for a free month service or call 972-PATRIOT and tell them I sent you.
All right, I love Patriot Mobile. You got it, 972-PATRIOT. Tell them I sent you. Use the promo code GRANT. All right, now, California, this is 2 days of following California news. First, we had the debate. You know, there was another gubernatorial debate in California last night. I'm not going to cover that. We covered the first one yesterday, and it was much of the same. The Republicans in the race did such a great job, Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco. There was an L.A. mayor's an L.A. mayoral race debate. So you have Karen Bass, the incumbent, former congresswoman, Nithya Raman, who is a city councilwoman, two, as you know, radicals, okay? And then you've got Spencer Pratt, the reality TV star. I wish this guy would come on my program. I've got to do a better job of getting him on. You know, he's kind of staying away from the real conservative networks. I think he doesn't want to be tagged for the LA race, but I think he's making a mistake. I think he should go anywhere, any place that anyone will have him, whether it's left-wing podcast, right-wing podcast, center podcast, entertainment podcast, radio, whatever. He ought to be making the rounds everywhere he can go. Now, this debate took place last night, and I'm going to play the first clip because the first clip is basically everything you need to know about where these candidates stand, okay?
This is a yes or no question and answer. So there's an LA council member. He wants voters to decide. He is saying that non-citizens, should they be allowed to vote in local elections? Is this a yes or no, Mr. Pratt?
All right, first off, you hear the question. There's an LA city councilman, Soto Martinez, I think, who wants illegal aliens to vote in city elections. You're here illegally. Why would you get a say? Oh, they're paying taxes. I don't believe they're paying taxes. Sales tax, maybe, when they buy something at the store. But illegal aliens. I'm not sure they own a lot of property in L.A., illegals. Let's see. He said first question goes to Spencer Pratt.
No. Mayor Bass.
It depends. It's not a yes or no.
Hold on.
He is saying that non-citizens,
no.
should they be
Pratt
allowed
says
to
no.
vote
Listen.
in local elections? Is this a yes or no, Mr. Pratt?
No.
Mayor Bass.
It depends. It's not a yes or no.
So Spencer Pratt, the reality TV star, follows directions. It's a yes or no question, yes or no. Karen Bass now says it depends. How does it depend? They're illegal aliens. There is under no circumstance should they be voting in any election, much less a federal election, city election, local election, county election, state election. I don't care what kind of election. I don't care if it's an election for who your high school president is. They shouldn't be allowed to vote in that either.
Depends on what?
Well, first of all, when you say non-citizens, it doesn't mean they're here illegal. It doesn't mean they're undocumented. They could have green cards. They could be here perfectly legal. And there's a lot of states and cities that do that on.
So now you want green card holders to vote in city elections. So if I get a big job and go work in France, God forbid, you'd have to pay me an awful lot of money for that. And I've got a visa. Should I be allowed to vote in the Paris election? Now, Paris would be lucky if I was voting there because I wouldn't be voting for what they're doing. But of course not. And I wouldn't even expect to have a vote. I'm not a citizen of France. I'm not really a resident of Paris. I may have a visa to work there, but that's insanity. So I don't care whether they're here legally or illegally. You have to be an American citizen to vote in an American election.
Very, very local elections. We have to see what the councilman is proposing.
Councilmember Raman.
Yeah, I would say, again, it does depend. In other places, school boards have non-citizens,
Yes or no?
non-citizens who vote
Mr. Pratt, I have a question for
who are
you. You
residents who
told
vote for
NBC
these.
News.
You see these ding-dongs? I think he even used the phrase non-citizens, not illegals. Let's see.
This is a yes or no question and answer. So there's an LA council member. He wants voters to decide. He is saying that non-citizens, should they be allowed to vote in?
He didn't say illegals. He said non-citizens. That would encompass anybody that's here legally but not a citizen or here illegally. I love people that come here legally. I embrace them, especially when you assimilate into this society and you want to live the American dream, man. You're my hero. I look at the Iranian people are like this. You have many first-generation immigrants that are like this. Sadly, though, you're getting a wave of immigrants from south of the border that don't want to assimilate. They want to go form their own community. Yes, they do many of the things a lot of American citizens don't want to do. Pick vegetables, mow our lawns, all clean our houses, all of these things. But they go move in their community and not assimilate to America. I'm not for that at all. And I love that the two women that have been with me for so long that work in my house are both American citizens. One from Guatemala, one from El Salvador. I've told you the story. The one from Guatemala couldn't afford her American citizenship. And I paid for her to go take the test and I paid it because I wanted her here. And she was here legally on a legal work permit. She became an American citizen. And you know the first election she voted in? She voted for Donald J. Trump. I love these people. But unless you're an American citizen, you're not voting in our elections. So this was part of the craziness through all of this. Let me just give you an example of Nithya Raman. There weren't many highlights from her from the debate because she's awful. This is one of them.
I'm not sure how to respond to that vision of Los Angeles. This is a MAGA Republicans' idea of what Los Angeles looks like. This is really not this.
A MAGA Republican idea of what Los Angeles looks like. Would you like to hear what Spencer Pratt said Los Angeles should look like? Now, remember, this guy's a reality TV star who lost his house during the Palisades fire. He is yet to be able to rebuild because the permit process is so holed up. When President Trump took office a year and a half ago, he said, we can get this ready. We can start building in a month. And they're still a year and a half later not doing anything. This is craziness. Craziness. Well, this is Spencer Pratt.
Downtown is so unsafe now that they have to serve the food. All the employees have to eat inside. They can't risk going out. That's why all these beautiful restaurants are closing, because it's so unsafe. So before we require city workers to go back into any buildings, we need to enforce the laws on the street. Councilwoman Raman is talking about safety, yet when animal rescue activist Rebecca Corey came in and said the dogs are being tortured and abused on the streets of downtown, she walked out of the hearing. She doesn't care about safety. She doesn't care about anything she's talking about. At least Mayor Bass pretends to care.
I agree. Mayor Bass certainly does pretend to care, but every decision she makes is awful. I'm not sure she actually does care. I think she wants her power and will do whatever she can to fake concern for Los Angeles. But let me give you an example of Nithya Raman. One of the proposals was to make sure that homeless encampments, homeless tents, are more than 500 feet away from a school. These homeless people are crazy. They'll stab you with a screwdriver if you look at them wrong because they think you're the devil because they're hyped up on all kinds of dope and fentanyl and super speed and all this other stuff. You want your kids walking by these tents with, quite frankly, disgusting homeless people in there? Yes, I said it. They're disgusting until you get them help. Once you can get them help, maybe they're not. But here's how you get them help. You kick them out of their city. You put them in jail. You enforce the law, no camping. This ordinance is stupid. It's move them 500 feet from a school rather than saying no tolerance. If you camp here, you'll be arrested. Listen to her. She gets booed.
I mean, it's like, I don't think a kid's going to be safer because a tent is 500 feet away from a school. You know, it's like, it just doesn't.
Oh, and the eye roll. And the eye roll. How do you think kids are safe walking by these homeless encampments going to school? 500 feet away isn't even enough. But this is what you get in L.A. Remember I said yesterday, L.A. could be so great. It could be so phenomenal. California, if California embraced the Republican principles that this country was founded on, the free market principles, I won't even say Republican, the free market capitalism, Judeo-Christian values. Can you imagine how great this country would be if California had that kind of success? Instead, California is a freaking hellhole. So that was Spencer Pratt responding. Now, let's go through this question.
Articulate for us why you should get it.
All right, this, just so I wanted to hear it, this is the moderator asking why should we reelect, or the people of L.A. reelect Karen Bass? Why?
Articulate for us why you should get a second contract as the mayor of the city.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you. You know, when I took over as mayor, LA was definitely facing an awful lot of tough problems. And obviously, January 7th was horrible. And as I have told you before, it was one of the worst moments of my life to not be here when my city needed me. And it didn't matter where I was or why I was away.
All right, let me tell you, she was overseas. There were predictions of this perfect storm for a wildfire to come through. And she was overseas. She didn't come home. Now, she was MIA. Everything that led up to the fires, January 7th, of course, was the fires that took out the Palisades and so many other areas. This woman is not sincere.
To me, it reminds me of like if you're away and a family member is in an accident. But I think that I deserve a second term, and I'm going to fight for that because we have made significant progress in a variety of areas. For example, homelessness was going up year after year. And under my watch, it is the first time we've had a decrease in street homelessness. While it went up in the country, 18%, it came down in Los Angeles, 17.5%. I have expedited the building of housing.
Now remember, California is known to fudge the numbers. When these people come in office, just like we saw in Washington, D.C., fudging the crime stats, this is the same thing that's happening in L.A. I don't believe the homeless numbers. And most people in L.A. will tell you they've seen an increase. It's perception. Whatever it is, she can talk about down 17%. All you have to do is go to L.A. and start walking around downtown L.A., start walking around down by the water. There's homeless everywhere, under every bridge. So don't tell me homelessness is really improving.
Because our number one issue in this city is affordability. And one of the main drivers for affordability is housing.
Right. So let me follow up on the fires,
Sure.
though. One gets the impression, based on what we saw, that you prioritized wages and benefits, a hike in the salaries of the firefighters union over the operations budget. We saw those pictures of those engines that were inoperable because they didn't have enough mechanics to fix them.
Well,
was that a mistake? Explain that decision.
Let me just say, first of all, the primary problem there was that the chief sent home 1,000 firefighters. We actually had fire trucks with not enough firefighters there. So yes, there were fire trucks that were broken, but there were also fire trucks that were out of use because she had sent the firefighters home. You are correct. There was supposed to have been deployment and pre-deployment in the area. That did not happen. But the same way that LA was not prepared, neither was the county.
Everything's a blame game with them. Everything. Do you know, if I was Karen Bass, do you know what I would have said? And it's a risk, a political risk. But I would have said, this was my fault. I should have been there, and I wasn't. I should have had a better handle on what the chief was doing. I had put more trust than I should have. I should have realized it earlier. I shouldn't have had to rely on the county to protect the citizens of Los Angeles. This falls on me. I will do better. I will take accountability for my actions. I ask for your forgiveness. We will do better. This was the most unbelievable learning experience of my life. I'm sorry it happened. It'll never happen again. This is on me. You will never hear a Democrat say that. Now, what do I always say on this program? Don't ever apologize. That goes true except for in extreme situations where what you did was so bad and an apology is actually warranted. When I say never apologize, it's if I say just what I said a little earlier. These are disgusting, violent people in these homeless tents. Some left-wing outlet might write, oh, look at how heartless Grant is. He's called the homeless people disgusting and smelly, too, by the way. I'm never going to apologize for that, ever, because it's truth. I don't care whether you like me or not. But if I screwed something up so bad, that's when you have to take accountability. That's when you show you're a leader. That's when you say you learn from your mistakes. It's like a basketball coach that takes the losses, and when they win, you give it to the team. That's what a real leader does. Take the heat when you're losing and give the credit to somebody else when you're winning. Most politicians don't do that. They do, in fact, just the opposite. They take the credit when you're winning and blame everybody else when you're losing. It's literally the Democrat model, right, for all of it. So awful, Karen Bass is. So let's roll the next clip here.
Say Councilwoman Raman acts like she doesn't have any authority with this homelessness. She was the third most powerful person in city council. She runs the homeless housing thing. She acts like this is just Mayor Bass. First off, inside safe. I like to say inside safe makes all of us outside unsafe. The reality is no matter how many beds you give these people, they are on super meth. They are on fentanyl. The DEA statistic says 93% of this is a drug addiction problem. Nithya, Councilwoman Raman's plan for treatment first, I will go below the Harbor Freeway tomorrow with her, and we can find some of these people she's going to offer treatment for. She's going to get stabbed in the neck.
I'm not laughing about her getting stabbed in the neck by any means. What I'm laughing about is the stark picture and distinction between what common sense and delusion looks like. Oh, let's sprinkle fairy dust around downtown Los Angeles, and we'll just make everybody live in a happy field, and they can waltz around on their barefooted tippy toes. No, they're calloused, stinky-ass feet that look absolutely disgusting with the nails falling off, that are completely black and rotted out. The teeth are gone because they're high on meth or who knows what else. They will stab you in the chest because they look at you and they think you're a demon when you're really a human being, though you might be able to make an argument that Karen Bass is a demon, but this is the reality of homelessness. These people don't want treatment. They have gotten used to living on the street. They want to live on the street. They don't like rules. They don't want to work. They are addicted to drugs. Now, the moment they want help, that's the moment I say we find organizations to step up and help them. And there are some fabulous organizations that do that. But these people have to want help. It's like my son, if he wants to lose weight, he's got to want it. I can't make him. I can't make him eat this or that. I can try to cook the right meals, but he's out of my control. He drives. He can do whatever. He's got to want it. That goes for anybody out there. You want to lose weight. You want a new job. You don't wait for someone to swoop in and help you. You got to want it. And you got to go out there and get it. And you got to scrap and you got to kick and you got to say, you know what, I need help. Because here's the reality. When it comes to homelessness in America today, if you want help, oh my Lord, there's a million organizations out there that will swoop in and help you. There is so much help available for the homeless. Nobody wants it. They don't want to abide by the rules. Trust me, I've gone down in Dallas and I've interviewed some of the directors of these homeless shelters. One, they mandate that you have to go to church. You have to go to a sermon at 6 o'clock every night before dinner. Nobody wants to do that. They mandate you have to be clean and sober in order to have a bed in there. Nobody wants to do that. So they constantly have beds open. But this is about creating the accountability system that society should live by. But in LA, there's no accountability for anybody. You can do whatever you want. You're a criminal. You don't even have to be high on drugs to be a criminal. Just go rob a convenience store. Nobody cares. If they arrest you, you're out on the street the next day. There's no accountability whatsoever. And where does that start from? It starts from the top. Is there any accountability for Mayor Karen Bass? If they reelect her into office, what are you telling LA, the world? We don't care about our shitty city. We don't care about our problems. We don't care that we suck. We're just going to keep pushing people that believe in these delusional left-wing ideals that don't work. And if you want proof that the left-wing ideals don't work, just look at LA and California as a whole. They're failed states. If California didn't have the Pacific Ocean and sun, it would be nothing. There would be nobody there. You understand that? Put California with those ideals in the middle of the country with no beach and no sun. You got nothing, man. Nothing. Texas doesn't rely on that. We have a beach and sun. We don't rely on it. California's beach is prettier than Texas's beach, too. We rely on making sure that people have individual liberty in this state. And that's why we are successful at what we do. And that's a fact, Jack. All right, hey. By now you've heard about the Project Lost Soldier oil and gas is doing out in Wyoming's Bison Basin, 40,000 acres of natural gas, stacked natural gas. The first well is in, has already hit gas, high pressure formations. They haven't even gone as deep as they thought they were going to go or needed to go. They believe there'll be room for 500 wells on these 40,000 acres. They are raising capital now to expand this project. You have access to be part of this. I am so proud to be a part of the Lost Soldier project because I believe, most importantly, not just the fundamentals of the project, but the management team. They've taken two companies public, 100-to-1 on investor money and 1,000-to-1 on investor money. It's unheard of twice. They believe this project has the fundamentals that were bigger than the first two. I'm talking about Mark Bruner and his team over at Lost Soldier Oil and Gas. So if you want to hear from Mark, you can watch on the Real America's Voice show tonight. He's going to be interviewed tonight at starting at 7 o'clock Eastern time. We got the show, and it'll be later on in the show. But I urge you, check that out. Or go to the website, lostsoldier.com. Click on Invest Now. You can sign up for a webinar as well. The team will get right back to you. They'll talk to you individually about what you get here, stock ownership, overriding royalties, tax benefits, you name it. Really a fabulous deal. LostSoldier.com. It comes with risk. You have to be an accredited investor. But I think you're going to like it. And a lot of people lining up to get in this. LostSoldier.com. That's LostSoldier.com. Pay them a visit. All right. Tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you, too. That's very important. You tell them I sent you. Not that you get extra special treatment, but it's helpful to me. All right. Let's continue on the mayor's race in L.A. because Spencer Pratt released a commercial that may be the best commercial I have ever seen in a political campaign. It looks like it's a $100 million studio production, but it's all generated through AI. Whoever is coming up with this content is unbelievable. I'm going to play it for you. Watch.
Please, I'm begging you. There's homeless drug addicts in front of the schools. My children aren't safe.
Look, if you were a transgender migrant, I could get you a free pussy.
Let's move the drug addicts closer.
Bass already solved crime. I endorse her.
Next!
Please, I just want to rebuild my home. It's been over a year.
Mom, look.
This is a machine. If we want to burn this town to the ground, pull through that!
Harris, Mayor Bass on the run. Is that not a fabulous commercial? Now, most people watch this, I'll call it a podcast. Stinchfield's really more than a podcast. All of them are. It's really video based. But for those listening on iTunes or Spotify, it's basically a commercial. I'd urge you to go check it out on Rumble, where you can just type in Stinchfield and find us. But it's basically a commercial from, back in the old French colony days, where they're laughing at us, have cake and eat it too. And the people of LA are on their knees begging for help. And Spencer Pratt, though, he's like Batman coming in to save the day. And they start throwing tomatoes at Newsom and Kamala and Mayor Bass. It's a great commercial. It's just a brief synopsis for those that are listening in the car or something like that. But what a great commercial. So it got a lot of play. So what did they do? They came out with another commercial. I'll play that one.
It has come to our attention that a Spencer Pratt political ad is going viral.
I already saw it. The one where he's crying about his house. Give me a break with the sob stories. It's time to move on.
No, ma'am. This is a new ad, and it seems to be more powerful.
What do you mean, another ad?
It already has millions of views on X. And ma'am, the production value, it looks like a $100 million film.
Where are they getting that kind of money? I personally shut down every damn studio in this city.
Ma'am, it was an AI filmmaker.
What do you mean it was an AI filmmaker? Comms. Polling. MIMWG2 SLBBTQQEIA. Stay. Everyone else, out. Everyone in the entertainment industry is supposed to be out of Los Angeles. What even was the point of the fires? Wasn't the Kamala endorsement supposed to seal the deal? This is meant to be an easy win for me.
It moved 0.3 points, ma'am.
The race might be lost. But if you think I am giving up this office, you are sorely mistaken.
To be continued. Oh, my Lord. I mean, this AI stuff is crazy, man. What is Hollywood going to do? Everyday folks are now putting together these unbelievable movie-style videos. What is Hollywood going to do? All the movie production, the think about the graphics houses that were making millions of dollars to create graphics for movies. Now you type it into ChatGPT and it kicks it out to you in 10 seconds. This is crazy. So Spencer Pratt went on with Will Cain.
I'd love your reaction to Karen Bass, who says you're exploiting the grief of people in the Palisades.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Karen Bass forgot that she let my house burn down and my parents' house burn down. And I had actual neighbors burn alive across the street from my childhood home. The only grief is my grief, my community's grief that I initially started this fight on behalf of. And she forgets I have received 2 community advocate awards from the Pacific Palisades community. So it's the most insane, psycho, diabolical thing I've heard in a minute, but it's not shocking. This is the same woman that will allow 7,000 houses to burn to the ground, 12 people to burn alive, and then actively cover it up, get caught covering it up, and then say that the LA Times is lying, even though they have the emails where she's altering the after action report, which, as far as I'm concerned, is obstruction of justice. So,
look, Spencer Pratt does not strike me as a MAGA hero. I don't know how he feels about a lot of the MAGA issues, but he seems like a common sense guy. He may be there, he may not be there. I think Spencer Pratt's focus, and I want the people of LA to know this, even if you're a radical leftist, Spencer Pratt's focus is going to be on cleaning up LA. I don't think it's going to be on abortion. I don't think it's going to be on getting Muslims out of the city. I don't think it's going to be on all of these things that are so controversial with those on the left. I literally think he wants to clean up the homeless problem. I think he wants to start issuing permits to get building back going again. I think he wants to find a way to get the tax burden a little bit lower so you can get businesses that will continue to flourish, clean up the streets, get the cops to start enforcing crime again so people can start walking and these restaurants can flourish. You know, you can't eat lunch on a sidewalk anymore, on a sidewalk cafe anymore. You'll get held up in LA. These are the issues Spencer Pratt wants to focus on. And if people in LA are, oh, he's a Trump guy, I have no idea whether he's a Trump guy or not. But I like his plans to fix LA up. And look, how do I say this? You know, I grew up right outside New York City in Westchester County. I lived and worked in New York City for many years. And, in many respects, I really believe Texas is my home now. I've lived here longer than anywhere else. I've been here almost 25 years now in Dallas. But I still love New York, even though it's disappointed me. I go back to that state. I'm not allowed to protect myself. I can't carry a firearm there, even though there are threats against me. New York, my home city, home state, says, no, you can't protect yourself. But I still want New York to flourish. And when New York City flourishes, I mean, there was a time where I would have said that was the greatest city in the world. It's not anymore. I don't know what is the greatest city in the world, but it's not New York. I would love to see New York resurrected back to be the greatest city in the world, the financial hub of America and the world. But right now, it's not. And you're seeing these financial companies move to places like Dallas. If Dallas becomes the financial hub of the world, I'll be happy about that too. But my point is I want success for New York, and I want success for L.A. You know, I did radio out in L.A. from Dallas. I refused to live there. But I worked so hard to push a message of how to fix L.A. I love that city too. I want that city to flourish. And I feel sorry for the blind leftists in LA that don't understand the votes that they cast, how it destroys them. They don't. They're blind liberal zombies. I have compassion and sorrow for them. My goal is to wake them up. But yes, I want LA to be successful. It will not be successful under Democrat leadership. That I promise you. Not a chance, folks. Not a chance in hell. One more story that they're doing, just to show you Democrat leadership, how awful they are. With this, there's a sign program that's going up. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. But before I do, I want to remind you about the wellness company. So you know this new study they conducted, ivermectin and mebendazole, to show unbelievable promise in treating and possibly curing cancer. 84% clinical benefit in the almost 200 patients that took this ivermectin and mebendazole combination, which is available from the wellness company. Just go to twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. If you have cancer, I would say, what do you have to lose? Give this a try. If you want to use this for what it was FDA approved for, was a parasite cleanse. And I went through it for a parasite cleanse. My brain fog, what little I had, but I did have a little, went away. My skin cleared up. I think I was like 60% of Americans that have parasites. I got a dog in the house. I eat a lot of sushi. This parasite cleanse was great. Now I'm learning it can cure cancer. My Lord. twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. And just a reminder, this has been a lifesaver. It's called TheraBlue. I use it daily on my sore spots. Hips mainly for me. Hips and back in the glutes. It deep penetrates. It is peptide-based. Peptides are like the miracle of all miracles now. It penetrates so deep, I use it daily. Not as when I need it. I use it as a preventative, and it's been unbelievable. Check this out, TheraBlue, twc.health/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. All right, so California, LA, I can't remember whether I played this for you yesterday or not. If I did, I apologize, but for those of you that didn't see it, they want signs up. They're posting signs saying this is an immigration-free zone. This is not a park for immigration enforcement. They're putting it at the zoo, in parks. They've spent, I don't know, a few $100,000 from what I'm told to put these signs up that mean nothing.
Well, Christine, there's more than 450 of these signs now posted across the city. Just take a look at this one. Some people like them, while the feds call them politics.
There goes the sign right there.
A bold message now posted across Los Angeles. Signs going up declaring city property off limits for ICE.
The signs have no legal weight, force, or effect on anything the federal government does.
Federal authorities firing back, saying the words are just that.
Federal agents will go anywhere they need to go to enforce federal law, city property included.
At Lafayette Park, most people say they didn't notice the sign, but support the idea.
There's people's families out here, dude, and that's not right, man.
The message from LA, no immigration enforcement, no staging, processing, or operations at parks. Speaking with the federal government, they say that the sign doesn't really do anything for them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
More than 450 of these signs now posted at parking lots, libraries, the LA Zoo,
Getting ready to leave?
and notably MacArthur Park, where last summer Mayor Karen Bass asked Border Patrol agents to leave during an operation.
My comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now.
We asked the city how much these signs cost taxpayers and never heard back, but based on industry estimates, one sign and installation could run about $500, bringing the total to around $250,000.
Executive Directive.
Mayor Bass issued Executive Directive 17 for these signs earlier this year, now telling Fox 11, "I will not stand by while federal agents use our neighborhoods as staging grounds for fear and intimidation. City property will not be used to carry out these raids." Just to be clear, from a federal perspective, do these signs stop ICE?
No, not at all. They're null and void. They mean nothing to us. And I look forward to her trying to enforce them.
That's Bill Asaley, President Trump's appointment for U.S. Attorney in the L.A. area. Now, I will tell that reporter, that was Good Day L.A. It's a decent job of down-the-middle reporting. Wasn't pushing anything. And, in fact, I listened to that report. He basically was calling out Karen Bass. You spent $250,000 on stupid signs that mean nothing. You think a federal agent is going to say, uh-oh, I can't go in here. It says this is not for immigration enforcement. And you're giving illegal aliens a false sense of security, right? I mean, the illegal aliens ought to be pissed about it, too. The whole thing's stupid. It's pandering. It's virtue signaling. And I think in the end, it's not what the people of L.A. actually want. They just don't know it. That's the biggest problem. Blind liberal zombieism, folks. Wake up. And they can't. They are asleep at the wheel. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us today. Please like, share, comment. Do whatever you can to spread the word. You know, Captain Shelley works so hard spreading the word of this podcast. I'm going to put this up on the Gateway Pundit today. That always gets us a lot of views after our live. But I'd love to fill this live room more than we get. You know, over the course of the day, we do very well on Rumble. But the live audience is going to be up to you to help push it. And I'm grateful for anything you can do in that front. And that's from liking and sharing all of this. And for those of you that do it, a huge, huge, huge thank you. Stinchfield's Army rolls because of all of you, and I can't tell you how thankful and grateful I am that you are here. I'll see you on the podcast Monday, but I will see you tonight, I hope, on the Real America's Voice show, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll get back after it there. GrantStinchfield.com is the website. You can find me wherever you find the internet, and Stinchfield 1776 for most of the social media platforms. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Uncensored.